What's going on YouTube? Got another knife review here for you. This is of the Microtech Socom Delta. This has been a knife ever since Carter put up his review on his Socom Delta. I've been craving, lusting over this knife. My first Microtech was this Select Fire. Really cool knife with carbon fiber inlays, aluminum handles, just this funky, really crazy blade, and overall it's a pretty impressive blade. Had this internal subframe lock, if you will. I guess it's really a liner lock since it's against this frame right here. But overall impressive knife, very ergonomic. Had this just alien looking look, but it was attractive. For me it was a pretty attractive look. And I know this knife is out of production now. This was a knife that was given away for Knife Thursday's competition. Not this one, but this style knife. So overall, my first Microtech, I was pretty impressed by it. And so I know like Jay Davis and a couple other people, have done reviews on the Socom Elite. And I really like the look of that knife except for the tip down carry. So very similar to what Carter was talking about. And so again, when the Delta came out, I was very attracted to this knife. And now Microtech has I don't know what they do in terms of their marketing, and they do releases basically, and they basically do or use different steels on their knives, whether it's their Whale Shark or the Select Fire or their Elite. They have, sometimes they use 20 CV, sometimes they use S35 right now, and then for the Socom Delta they used CTS 204P in the very beginning, and then they switched to S35. For me personally, I would call myself a steel snob, even though I don't use it to the point where I should need to be a steel snob. S35 VN or anything is going to suffice for my normal usages. But for me, in terms of value and all that kind of stuff, I really wanted to go for the CTS 204P. And so finally, this one came up. This one is a July 2012 model, I believe. Yeah, 07 2012 right there. You can see on the blade. And right there you see it's CTS 204P. So once this knife came up, I've just been waiting on the forums to see a 204P model come up. And so once this came up, I sprung at it. Yeah, rest is history. So I for some reason I just didn't want to get the S35 VN run. Now the most recent Socom Deltas, I believe now, I was looking at GP Knives, they are running a CPM D2 blade steel, which is pretty interesting because I've heard a lot of good things about CPM D2. So D2 steel is pretty good, but CPM, the powdered metallurgy version of the D2 steel from Crucible, is supposedly like an awesome steel. So I don't know if it's necessarily as good as 204P. So 204P, is rated as the same steel as like M390 and 20 CV. So those are, really great steels. So same chemical composition and all that kind of stuff. So I've only heard good things about M390 and 20 CV. So yeah, so I'm really happy to get the 204P blade steel. Compared to CQC 15 right here from Emerson, and here is the Strider SMF CC, and then you got the Select Fire right there, and then here's the Sebenza. So similar sized. I think the Strider is probably your longest blade, that's supposedly 4 inches. The Socom Delta I thought was 4 inches, but right now I'm seeing 3.75. So anyway, I'm gonna just take the computer's word for it at 3.75 inches on this blade. the Delta is I think probably Microtech's best executed blade, in my opinion. I've never handled a whale shark. A lot of people rave about it, but yeah, I mean it's cool that it's a flipper and it's got a really big sweeping, excuse me, belly and all that kind of stuff. But for some reason, that huge pocket clip and all that kind of stuff, kind of like this, the select fire. The one thing I don't like about this knife is really the pocket clip, and then of course the proprietary screws. But the Delta, I think, is a very, very well executed blade knife. You got the subframe lock, which is titanium. You've got the steel insert for the locking face as well. So like Lion Steel, like a lot of Spydercos now with their frame locks, they're using the steel inserts. So steel on steel is always going to be your best, I think, or at least a carbonized titanium is going to be your best interface for wear on the blade tang and all that kind of stuff. You got the lightness of the titanium. I believe this is a titanium clip, and then you have a titanium backspacer as well with this lanyard hole. You've got these vents here, which I am assuming that you can use, to blow out dust. You can use a compressed air can to blow out any dirt and dust and all that kind of stuff for this knife. So pretty easy to clean out and all that kind of stuff. And then you've got, of course, Microtech's proprietary screws all throughout the body on the pocket clip. But you've got a T30. I don't have a T30 bit, but a T30, so you can adjust it if you want to. And I believe it'd be easy enough to clean out and adjust if you take the screw off. I believe it's running on a ball bearing system, similar to like KVT and all that kind of stuff. And you could probably just slide the blade out and clean it and then slide it back in. So well executed blade. It's got a large, this is not the blade stop, but it's the pin or the standoff to prevent the knife from over travel when it's closed. So the blade tang engages with right here. And then right here you also see steel inserts on the G10. This is a great, again, Microtech, just good design right here. So they have steel plates, and here, hopefully you can see here. Yeah, so you can see the steel plates that are nested inside the G10. So those thumb studs engage with steel right here, and I believe the steel travels all the way through here. Again, I'm not positive. I'm not taking this knife apart or anything like that, but I think it's got steel plates, maybe similar to like the Hogue. If I have like steel bolsters, bolster locks or something like that. Not bolster locks, bolster plates. Yeah, so anyway, in terms of engagement, again, I've flipped this knife out so many times. Engagement has been at about 60%, hasn't moved at all. Little bit of stick on this blade, on this lock, but not too bad. And then deployment is very fast with the ball bearings. The one thing is that the detent is actually very strong on this knife. On Carter's Juju 1313, on his review, his detent was really loose. He was able to kind of just push it down. This one is extremely strong. In fact, if I have my hand on this lock bar during deployment, it's actually really hard to, well, that was easy, but it's a lot harder to deploy. You have to really push it down hard. So usually when I open it, I have to keep my hands off the lock bar, and then it deploys very easily and fast. So again, very good deployment, easy actuation on the lock. So I've been flipping this thing out like crazy. Overall, you got the Tonto blade style, very long Tonto, so not like a short stubby, but a long Tonto. The grind on here is a really attractive grind too. You got the swedge right here, and then obviously the primary grinds on the lower part of the blade. The grind is uneven though. The swedge, if you can see right here, you can see how that's off-centered right there, I think. Usually if I have it inside the frame, you can see that a little bit better, how the grind lines are off. So it's a production knife, which is kind of surprising that the grind lines would be off. But yeah, not a big deal. I'm just happy I got the 204P. So overall ergonomics of this knife are really good. You got the G10 jimping right here, and a little bit of, I guess, minor like reverse jimping on the blade side here. I don't know if you're like doing pull cuts or what the point of that would be. And then you've got jimping on the underside of the handle right there. So in reverse grip, it's very comfortable. Your thumb actually sits on this little lanyard loop, and it's actually comfortable. It doesn't, it's not bad at all. And so your hand just locks in. The hilt, if you will, of the blade really locks you in, so you don't need a choil necessarily for secure grip on this knife. So yeah, this thumb ramp plus this the hilt on this blade works really well for any kind of stabbing motion. Thickness of this blade, I'm not sure where it's at right now, but I would probably put it at somewhere around probably like 4 to 4.5 millimeters. I think it's thinner than the Strider SMF for sure. Trying to think of a blade that I know is, it's probably about similar to the Benchmade 760 right here. Yeah, same. I think about the same blade thickness, maybe even a little bit thinner than that. But definitely a good blade stock of 204P right here, or whatever blade steel you might get on your Socom Delta. Overall, just a great knife. Pocket clip works well. Actually rides somewhat low for a for a Microtech, all things considered, when you got a select fire that has this much riding out of its pocket. So a much more subtle pocket clip and all that kind of stuff, I think is appreciated compared to like the Whale Shark or the Select Fire. Overall, just a great knife. I think clothes and all that kind of stuff, it just fits the pocket perfectly. I love carrying this knife around. Great utility knife. Overall, just EDC knife and all that kind of stuff. Not overly like overbearing or too scary looking and all that kind of stuff. For people who aren't too comfortable with knives and all that kind of stuff. Definitely a Sebenza is gonna be a little classier and all that kind of stuff, but as a work knife, as a Tanto and all that kind of stuff, this I think would be a great knife for service. If you get a really dependable steel and all that kind of stuff, with the vents, it's easy to clean out and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I think this would be a great knife for service. So anyway, there's the Socom Delta. I'm really excited to have this one in my collection. I think at first when I got it, I wasn't as impressed as I thought I would be, but it's definitely been growing on me every single day. So I really enjoy having this one now in my collection. Alright guys, so thanks you guys for watching. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.